Good evening. It is my pleasure to welcome you to the Lexington County School District 3 Board of Trustees regular monthly meeting. It is Tuesday, August the 13th, 2024. We are meeting in the Staff Development Room of the Lexington 3 District Office. All board members are present except Mrs. Cheryl Burgess. I welcome you and thank you for coming. At this time, I call our meeting to order. I would like to recognize 3 students who attend Batesburg-Leesville Primary School. Casey Rice and Kevin Schuler will lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance, followed by Grayson Scott, who will lead us in prayer. To the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Amen. Thank you for your participation in our meeting. Great job. At this point, we are on item 1.4, approval of agenda. You received the agenda in your packet. Without objection, we will approve the agenda as presented. The agenda is approved. Item 1.5, approval of minutes for the June 11th, 2024 regular board meeting. Those minutes were also in your packet. Without objection, we will approve the minutes as presented. The minutes are approved. Next on the agenda is 2.0, recognition. Item 2.1, recognizing Mrs. Frances Balknight for completing SCSBA Boardmanship Institute Level 6 training by Mrs. Taylor.
Good evening, board members. It is indeed my privilege to be here this evening to recognize Ms. Frances Balknight for achieving Level 6 in the South Carolina School Boards Association Boardmanship Institute training. Level 6 is the highest level that a board member can achieve in the Boardmanship Institute training, which was established in 1982 as a way to offer a year-round training curriculum focused on leadership skills for board members on state and national education issues. Since this is the highest level that a board member can achieve, Mrs. Balknight will officially be recognized at the South Carolina School Board Association's annual convention, which is scheduled for February of 2025 at Kingston Resort in Myrtle Beach. But we are going to celebrate Ms. Balknight this evening with a beautiful bouquet that we have here from Twin City Blossoms. And I ask that all of you give her a round of applause for her support of children here in Batesburg-Leesville and also in South Carolina.
All right, we move on now to item 3.0, consent. Item 3.1, the financial report with Mrs. Roden.
Hello, good evening. A little bit of frog in my voice, but I'm okay. You got your financials in the packet. The noteworthy items of our cash statement is that we got in a lot of federal funds in the month of July because we closed the year and I claim the end of the quarter. Do you have any specific questions about the July statements that were provided to you? Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Roden. Next, item 3.2, Superintendent's Report with Dr. Atkinson.
Thank you. We had another great start to a brand-new school year, and I just want to thank everyone that made that such a smooth start, and our administrative team that's here really worked hard all summer to make sure we were prepared. Obviously, we had to work through construction again at 2 of our sites, and I don't think we'll have to do that next year after 5 years in a row now that we've started school with construction. We've gotten our customary severe weather issues at the first couple of weeks of school over. It doesn't really matter when we start. It seems to follow us every year. So it was a great beginning of a new school year. Just to highlight a few of the things that occurred this summer, at the primary school, we finally completed the last 2 halls, the yellow hall and the purple hall. So they were finally renovated, completely gutted, and rebuilt back, just like the high school. And we had our final inspection on July 22nd. And as you may recall, teachers returned on July 22nd. And so thankfully it was successful. And then after the inspection ended, our maintenance and custodial staff all got busy and moved every single room at the primary school to make sure that our teachers could be prepared and ready for Meet the Teacher. So it was quite a show with all that moving parts to be able to have everything ready in a successful start. So I just want to thank those people that made that happen. At the high school, we had a good bit of work that was completed. We're obviously working on punch lists for some of the other projects that have been completed. The Mansour replacement at the original Cape building, it was completed actually this morning. The football field, natural grass turf has been completed. Painting, we've done quite a bit of painting throughout the district and in the high school. The stadium press box, the baseball dugouts, the softball dugouts on the inside only. If you remember, the softball dugouts are a rock face, so we didn't paint those. We have put up windscreens at the baseball, the softball field. They will be also installed at the track and at the tennis court. It's interesting that the tennis court was built quite a few years ago, but as we were looking at new windscreens, we discovered that the fencing had been put up on the wrong side of the poles from many years ago, which meant that the windscreens had to be put up on the wrong side. So that fencing was completed this morning, so now the fences are on the correct side, and it's also safer for our athletes for it to be correctly so that you don't accidentally run into one of the poles. So I'm not sure how that happened. The HVAC for the weight room was delivered and installed, so now we have air conditioning there. I know maybe the coaches might not be so happy with that because it was, they were getting some really good workouts of our athletes. In our original gym, the Mansour replacement was completed. We have painted the ceiling in the gym was painted for the first time since 1975. Now they went in there before they started to clean all the dust and about 2 to 3 dozen footballs, softballs, basketballs, birdies, and I wouldn't be so surprised if maybe some of our board members had actually put some of those up there. But anyway, so they're all down now, and the ceiling's painted, so is the inside. We replaced the tile floors, so the original gym really is looking good. It needs a deep cleaning, and there's some more work to do in the bathrooms, but it's really coming along. We were able to begin securing our campus with the new fencing and lockable gates that will have swipe cards for our students and our staff to be able to go through, so that we can can regulate who's coming and going. So that's going to be very helpful in the safety aspect. The main parking lot at the football stadium, it was sealed and relined. The softball field has new lines in the parking area as well. If you've noticed recently, the new logo, B&L logo, and the Batesburg-Leesville High School sign is on the front of the school. The wiring is being completed, so it's not been turned on yet, but it has been installed. We've also had the softball field halos are going in. Those are being stitched now. They're prepared and ready to go down, but those will be coming in soon. And the last at the stadium, we were able to paint the concession stand and put new lettering there, and also at the press box. And we have a new drum major stand has been replaced too, so it's a lot safer. On to our food service staff for the summer. Our summer feeding program this year was for ages 1 through 18. We had many volunteers that gave their time to help provide the food. But this is what is pretty astonishing, is that these volunteers distributed 44,924 meals in 5 weeks this summer. So that's quite a feat in itself. We are continuing our community eligibility program for this coming school year, where all students can eat free regardless of income. This past year, when it was audited, our district had 99.9% USDA reimbursement rate for all meals served. What that basically means is that we were able to provide meals for every student free of charge, cheaper than we have provided meals for students if we were still collecting fees, if students were still having to pay because of the reimbursement rate being that high. If you notice, some of the other districts, our neighboring districts, are following suit, and they're offering or joining the community eligibility program as well, and to be able to offer those free meals. Our summer instructional programs for grades K through 8 was very successful. We had a little over 100 students, and just want to thank Jennifer Richardson, Brittany Adams, Brantley Bazart, and Samantha Kennedy, who all worked really hard to make sure that that program was planned and carried out to the best of our abilities. Our food service staff also spent 3 days at USC working on their culinary skills. Chefs from USC provided hands-on training. This training was paid for by a $160,000 Healthy Meals Incentive Grant. So this will allow us to be able to do more made-from-scratch cooking, and also be able to purchase more of our food from our local farmers. Now, our participants, they received quite a bit of goodies with lots of culinary supplies, but they also received a very nice set of knives that they will be able to use to prepare meals with as well, which was, several $100 set. Recently, our high school sports medicine program they were recognized. They were awarded what was called the Safe Sports Schools First Team by the National Athletic Trainers Association. And this is a huge milestone for our sports medicine team. This award to schools that represent a holistic approach to sports medicine, which includes physical, mental, and emotional health of the student athletes, appropriate emergency action plans in place. And you might remember there were several times this past year where a student's injury was severe enough that we had to enact an emergency plan to make sure that they were well taken care of. Provide care and treatment of injuries, provide appropriate coverage of sports events, and also making sure that they have the associated resources such as orthopedic care, and these are things that all of our sports medicine personnel have been able to provide. If you remember, in the last 4 years, we have gone from 0 full-time sports medicine or athletic trainers to 2, and Kayla Cotney and Lauren Stone. So we've made quite a lot of progress in that area in the last few years. And I don't know if you noticed at the beginning of school with some of the districts talking about our neighboring districts that they can't find athletic trainers, not a single one in some of the districts. And we have 2 quality ones that people have been trying to steal, and we've been able to keep them. So I'm just appreciative of that. And last but not least, we received our federal funds audit risk assessment. This is something that the State Department of Education completes on an annual basis. And we received our customary score that we've been getting, and the best score you can get is a low risk. So basically what that means is that the people in finance, the people that are managing our federal programs, and our administration, they're doing what they're supposed to do, so that we're on time with our required reporting, our compliance, our fiscal compliance, all the things that making sure that we're spending the money wisely, and we're making sure that it's going where we say it's going to be. So just proud of those that continue to do that. And it was a very quick summer, but a good start to a new school year.
Well, the excitement of a new school year is certainly around us now, so thank you very much, Dr. Atkinson. Now 4.0, public participation. Do we have any cards? Okay, thank you, Ms. Derrick. All right, moving on to item 5.0, or 5.0, the information items. Item 5.1, school board member continuing education, debriefing 2024 SCSBA School Law Conference by the Board of Trustees.
I'm just going to talk briefly about one of the breakout sessions that I attended, and whenever we have Kathy Mahoney and Bernie Williams presenting, you go. Doesn't matter the topic, they will make it entertaining. I just love the two of them together when they present, but it was, the breakout session was centered around, the topic of, I can't talk about that, employee, ... employee. And it focused on, the issues that school board members have, face with employment matters, pursuant to board policies. And they went into, examples of situations with certified employees and also, contract employees. And we went through multiple scenarios and had open discussions with some districts that had faced the issues that were being covered, but it talks a lot about what you can and cannot say, who you can and cannot say them to, and it's a really good reminder to board members that you don't engage, you pass that information through the proper channels. And again, Kathy Mahoney and Bernie Williams did a fantastic job, and we covered a lot of information in a short amount of time, but it's always a good refresher. Thank you.
One of the breakout sessions that I attended was called Upholding the First Amendment Without Disruption to School Operations. And this one was presented by Boykin and Davis, LLC. And this was mainly discussing free speech and the First Amendment right to speech, and the fact that that's not absolute. And when there are schools involved and districts involved, there are certain limitations that need to be set and upheld, and finding the balance between guaranteeing that the students have free right of speech, but that there are limitations that are upheld for the protection of other students as well. So as you all know, that's a very delicate balance to maintain. It went through several different cases. They were very interesting. I won't bore you with those, but the model policies laid out by those key cases do set the tone for how we operate and the forums that we create that set the tone for the speech. So the takeaway points were that the district's interest in regulated speech must be balanced with the students' and employees' rights, as both of those are important. And we must be able to articulate substantial interference or disruption to school operations beyond mere speculation. We have to almost be able to look in a crystal ball and look at patterns of behavior in the past and make actions based on those while respecting students' and employees' rights and maintaining free speech as well. So it's a complicated topic, and that will only get more and more complicated as the years go on, but it was a good eye-opener to things that could come in the future.
I felt this was a very good conference. It had a lot of pertinent information. You can't say that about every conference, but I will say that even at 8 o'clock on a Sunday morning, I didn't mind going to listen to Charles Boykin. And so it was a lot of topics that are in front of us today. And I chose to just give you a quick update on a few of the legislative changes coming up on the federal level and on the state level. We did hear from South Carolina Department of Education, Barbara Drayton, who is the Deputy General Counsel. And since this was a legal conference, that's mostly who we listened to the entire time was lawyers. But the federal regulatory updates included an act called the Web Content Assessment Guidelines. And this federal rules is going to require K-12 and higher education institutions to verify their web content, including mobile apps, social media postings, and that they must be accessible for those with vision, hearing, cognitive, and manual dexterity disabilities. We were told you had to be able to do everything without a mouse. And here are some of the areas that this regulation is going to cover. Color contrast for those who are colorblind, descriptive labels, using alternative text for links and images, making information in tables accessible and easy to read, navigating websites without the use of a mouse, emphasizing content through means other than color, font sizes, headings and labels, and captions for video and audio content. So it's pretty extensive. And our compliance date for that is going to be, according to our state and local government size, not our district size, is gonna be April of 2027. So, you know, think about that, though. You gotta realize how much time it's gonna take into doing all that, and there's no funding involved in that. That's gonna be us. And then the legislative update was done by Debbie Elmore, who is excellent. She's our liaison, state representative, state School Boards Association representative, and she's been there a long time, and she's really good. She did point out that they have added these same supplements for education majors in college that your science and math scholarship winners now get. And that, I think, is gonna be one of the biggest impacts that we're gonna see, because a student that enrolls in college now in education is going to see a lot more scholarship money coming their way. That's a lot of money. So it might be a good thing for some of these kids who are gonna struggle to make ends meet, and that might be an option they choose. They even have, a Senate bill that's effective March 11th, has already been effective March 11th for Booster Club officers, saying that no one that is a financial officer in Booster Club could be convicted of a crime, financial crime, and that the board may request a state criminals record check on the financial officer of the Booster Club. I thought it was, I don't know, odd that we have to deal with that kind of thing these days, but we do. This also, the constitutional carry bill was done. It was effective March 7th, 2024. It removed the requirement for a concealed weapons permit, but it has a proviso 1.65, that says the ability to possess a firearm on public school property is not extended to an enrolled student. So that will help us out. This bill is, this bill that is, and it's been in the news, is on, those who want to, consider complaining about the books that we have. Our library, catalog must be online, but I thought it was notable that anyone who wanted to challenge a book now must be the parent of an enrolled student, rather than just anybody. And then, there was some question also, there's been, some discussion of school boards members that none of us were interested in of receiving Blue Cross Blue Shield insurance. None of us need it. But, that also would apply to any county employee, state employee who sat on the school board who was receiving Medicare and state retirement benefits for Blue Cross Blue Shield. Medicare stepped in and said, there's a conflict. So that has been removed for right now. The discussion of whether or not, those receiving school board insurance would also be able to do that along with your state retirement, Blue Cross Blue Shield, and Medicare. And Medicare was the one who, called that into question. So there was a lot of pertinent information. Oh, one I forgot to mention is that they are appropriating money for every school district in the state, every school in the state to be digitally mapped, which is for safety reasons primarily. But after the first year, every district has to pay the renewal fee. And your first year, that renewal fee will be $650. You don't know what it will be after that. So those are just some things that impact our budget.
Thank you all so much. It sounds like it was a great
It really
conference.
was.
Next, we will move on to 6.0, action items. Item 6.1, local board course request by Mrs. Bryant.
Good evening, y'all. Thank you for entertaining this. We are required in our district by the state to present local board-approved courses every year for your approval. I will be very forthcoming in that we've not always done that, but we did find that regulation, so we are going to put that as a continual annual practice from henceforth. None of these courses are new courses that we're offering this year. These are things that you all have approved along the way. I have a break in the table that is in your board packet. Those courses before the break are courses that you can currently take at either Batesburg-Leesville High School or Batesburg-Leesville Middle School that we put students in. The courses below the break are codes that we have in Power School because many of our neighboring schools have those courses, and we may need to add that to a transcript. And we just wanted to be fully transparent and give you all the courses that are in there, even though we don't actively use the ones below the break, if that makes sense. Do you have any questions?
Madam Chair, I move to accept the administration's recommendation to adopt the proposed courses for the 2024-2025 school year.
So I have one question.
Oh, I'm sorry.
The courses that are not currently offered but are in neighboring, areas and districts
Yes.
or not, would those be available if administration and/or enough interest from the collective student body?
Right, if we had those programs and we had staff to teach those. And I mean, what we do is, we would add any local board courses that we would deem necessary. So it could be, we wouldn't have to add these because you've already approved them. So yes, we could offer these, if the need arose. And then if there were additional local boards, we would bring those to you as they approach.
Okay. I have a motion from Mrs. Gunner to accept the administration's recommendation to adopt the proposed courses for the 2024 through 2025 school year. Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay, I have a second from Mrs. Derrick. Any discussion? Hearing none, all of those in favor, please raise your right hand. Motion passes unanimously. Thank you, Mrs.
Thank you. We'll talk about it again next August. Okay.
Sounds good. Next, we will group item 6.2, item 6.3, and item 6.4 as Mr. Beatlow presents second reading approval of policy EBCB, safety plans and drills, policy EBCB-R, safety plans and drills, and school fire drill report form.
Thank you, Madam Chair, board members, Dr. Atkinson. We did have to make a couple changes, and I do apologize. We try to give you the camera-ready second reading, but the standard response protocols came out after our first board meeting, so I did make a couple changes, and I'll kind of go over those changes that were in your board packet. In EBCB, that was my issue. We changed the word from superintendent or designee to superintendent or chief operations officer. That change was made in the policy, and of course, these policies were from the School Board Association, the State Department of Education, and the State Fire Marshal's Office. So this will make us in compliance with the policy EBCB. The administrative rule is where we made some changes to correlate with the standard response protocol that most districts around the country use. So we made those changes since our first reading to correlate with the standard response protocol, so our drills match up with the standard response protocol. So those changes are just the title of each drill that we have that are highlighted in your packet. So that puts us in compliance. Again, same thing. It was from the School Board Association, State Department of Education, and the Fire Marshal's Office. And the last one was the fire drill form. This is a form that the State Fire Marshal at each school will have to do monthly, as we were required to do a fire drill every month, and one in the first 10 days. They'll actually have to keep this report. So when the fire marshal comes through, he or she, whoever it is, will be able to view that form. So This updates these policies and keeps our district in compliance with these new state regulations, so. Any questions, Madam Chair, board members?
Do I have a motion?
Madam Chair, I would like to recommend that we give second reading approval to these items as recommended by the administration. Item 6.2, second reading approval of policy EBCB, safety plans and drills. Second reading approval, item 6.3, EBCBR, safety plans and drills. And item 6.4, second reading approval for school fire drill report form.
All right. We have a motion from Mrs. Carey to give second reading approval of policy EBCB, safety plans and drills, policy EBCBR, safety plans and drills, and school fire drill report form as presented by the administration. Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay. Second, I have a second from Mrs. Gunner. Any discussion? Hearing none, all of those in favor, please raise your right hand. Motion passes unanimously. Thank you, Mr. Redenbaugh.
Thank you.
Next on the agenda is 7.0, executive session.
Madam Chair, I make a motion that we move to executive session for the discussion of personnel matters.
Okay. We have a motion from Mrs. Derrick to go into executive session for the discussion of personnel matters. Do I have a second?
Second.
All right, second by Mrs. Carey. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, raise your right hand, please. Motion passes unanimously. We are now in executive session.